Think you're saving money with fast fashion? Let's look closer. That $15 dress might look like a bargain, but there's a lot hiding behind that price tag. The fashion industry is responsible for 10% of global carbon emissions, more than all international flights and shipping combined. And while the average person is buying 60% more clothes than they did just a couple decades ago, we're keeping them for less time than ever. When you add up the costs, like environmental cleanup, healthcare for underpaid workers, and the need to replace worn-out pieces, the math gets ugly fast. So, how does that cheap shirt really add up? Let's break down the financial math, the human toll, and the environmental bill behind every so-called deal in your closet. The $10 shirt lie. Let's talk about the $10 shirt, because that price tag is telling you a story that isn't true. On the rack, it looks like a steal. You grab it, barely think twice, and walk out feeling like you scored. But here's what's really going on with that bargain tee. Start with the simple math of price per wear. Suppose you buy a $100 sweater and wear it 200 times. That's 50 cents per wear. Now compare it to your $10 fast fashion shirt. Research shows that most fast fashion items are worn only 7 to 10 times before they're tossed. That means even if you get 10 wears, you're paying $1 per wear. If it only lasts 7 wears, that jumps to $1.43 each time. Suddenly, your cheap shirt is twice as expensive per use as the quality sweater you thought was too pricey. Why do these shirts fail so quickly? The answer is in the details and the shortcuts. Fast fashion shirts are notorious for pilling and seams popping, especially after just a handful of wears. The fabric pills up, looking worn out before the season's even over. Seams are stitched with the bare minimum strength, so they start to pull apart or unravel after a few washes. One study found that 62% of fast fashion garments show obvious signs of wear after just 10 wears. So, you're not imagining it when your new tee starts falling apart before you've even taken the tags off your next one. This isn't accidental. Factories design these clothes to match the speed of trends, not to last in your closet. The average fast fashion item is made to survive just long enough for you to wear it 7 to 10 times, then it's expected to be replaced. That's a deliberate choice, because if your shirt lasted a year, you wouldn't need to come back for another round of deals. Let's do the math on your closet. Say you buy 4 $10 shirts every year because they keep wearing out or looking dated. In 3 years, you've spent $120 on shirts that barely made it through a season. Meanwhile, someone who picked up 2 $50 quality shirts and wore them year-round for 5 years spent just $100 total. And those shirts still look good. The fast fashion cycle means you're on the hook for replacements constantly. 5 cheap shirts to get through a year? That's $50 every single year. A quality shirt might cost $100 up front, but if it lasts 3 years, that's just $33 a year, and you don't have to keep shopping for replacements. Fast fashion brands thrive on this hidden math. They sell you the same basic tee over and over, counting on you to come back when the last one gives out. Their business isn't about giving you deals. It's about making sure you have to keep buying. Check your own closet. How many nearly identical shirts do you have because the last one shrank, pilled, or the seams popped after a few months? That's the $10 shirt lie at work. The upfront price feels painless, but the cycle of constant replacements drains your wallet over time. And it's not just about your money. The rush to get these shirts on the shelves means corners are cut everywhere. The fabric pills, the seams fail, and the shirt loses shape before you've gotten your money's worth. It's all disguised as distressed style or vintage wash, but really it's just a way to cover up poor quality. Even the way these shirts shrink or twist after washing is a sign of skipped steps in manufacturing. No proper fabric prep, no quality control. You might have a whole drawer full of these shirts right now, each one a reminder of how the cycle keeps going. But the real cost of that $10 shirt doesn't stop at your closet. The low price you see at checkout is only possible because someone else is picking up the slack, often in ways you can't see. The human cost behind the tag. Let's pull back the curtain on what your clothing price tag really means for the people behind it. The human cost isn't just a catchphrase. It's the reality for millions of workers who keep the fast fashion machine running. Most fast fashion garments are sewn by workers in countries like Bangladesh, Cambodia, and Honduras. Take Bangladesh, where about 4 million people make clothes for the world's biggest brands. Factory workers there often earn as little as $1.58 an hour, according to a Department of Labor case study, far below what's needed to support a family. Less than 2% of garment workers worldwide earn a living wage. That $15 shirt you pick up at the mall, the person who made it might see only a few cents from your purchase. The system is designed to squeeze workers at every step. Factories bid against each other for contracts from major brands, and the fastest way to undercut a competitor is to lower wages. That's why so many workers find themselves on the clock for 12 to 16 hours a day, sometimes 7 days a week, just to meet tight deadlines. Overtime is routine, but pay for those extra hours is not. In fact, 80% of contractors in a recent investigation violated minimum wage laws, with workers forced to accept whatever pay they're given or risk losing their jobs. Safety is often sacrificed to keep prices low. In 2013, the Rana Plaza factory in Bangladesh collapsed, killing 1,134 people and injuring thousands more. The building had obvious structural problems, but workers were still ordered inside to meet production demands. After the tragedy, inspections revealed over 80,000 safety issues in more than 1,000 factories supplying fast fashion brands. Industry-wide safety accords followed, but dangerous conditions are still common, especially in factories that supply the lowest-priced clothes. Wage theft isn't rare, it's the norm. Workers report being shorted on pay, forced to work unpaid overtime, or hit with illegal deductions. Many don't even get the legal minimum wage after all the deductions for things like mistakes or supplies. For most, the paycheck barely covers rent for a single overcrowded room near the factory. In Bangladesh, 91% of garment workers struggle to afford enough food for themselves and their families. Meat is a luxury, and many families eat only 1 or 2 meals a day. Child labor is a hidden part of this system. Brands might ban it on paper, but subcontracting lets the problem slip through the cracks. Investigations have found children as young as 14 working long shifts in unauthorized backroom factories. Their small hands are seen as better for delicate work, but it's just another way to keep labor costs down. Health risks are everywhere. Workers breathe in cotton dust and chemical fumes all day, leading to lung damage and skin problems. Chemical dyes used in printing can cause rashes and worse. Repetitive motions lead to chronic pain. By age 35, most workers report back and joint problems. Few have access to health care or any kind of compensation if they're injured on the job. Speaking up is dangerous. Union organizers risk getting fired, blacklisted, or even attacked. After protests in Bangladesh in 2023 over low wages, at least 4 workers died, and more than 100 were arrested. Even after the government raised the minimum wage to $113 a month, it's still only about half of what's needed to escape poverty. Brands responded by threatening to move production to even cheaper countries, keeping the pressure on wages and working conditions. The cycle continues because the system is built to hide responsibility. Your shirt might pass through 5 different subcontractors before it hits the store, making it easy for brands to claim they didn't know about abuses. When violations are exposed, companies promise to investigate, but orders keep coming. The bottom line, there's no way to sell a $5 shirt without cutting corners on worker safety and pay. The low price you see is only possible because someone else is paying the real cost, often with their health, safety, and future. But that's not where the story ends. The same shortcuts that hurt workers also have a massive impact on the planet. The next time you see that bargain dress, remember, the cost isn't just human. There's another bill coming due, and it's one we all have to face. The environmental disaster. When you look at the environmental impact of fast fashion, it's not just about a single shirt or dress. It's a global disaster playing out in real time. Fast fashion is responsible for about 10% of annual carbon emissions, a number that actually surpasses the combined emissions from all international flights and maritime shipping. That's the scale of pollution hiding behind every affordable trend. Most of these clothes are made from synthetic fibers, mainly polyester, which is essentially oil turned into fabric. The production of synthetic textiles alone uses 1.35% of the world's oil supply, which is more than Spain consumes in a year. And this isn't slowing down. If nothing changes, nearly 3/4 of all clothing will be made from fossil fuel-based materials within the next decade. That $15 polyester dress started as crude oil, was spun into fabric, and is now destined for a landfill or the ocean once it's out of style. Every time you wash synthetic fabrics, they shed tiny plastic fibers. These microplastics don't just disappear. About 35% of all ocean microplastics come from synthetic textiles, mostly polyester. These fibers end up everywhere, in fish, in sea salt, and even in human bodies. Scientists have found them in everything from sea life to placentas. The pollution doesn't stop after you donate or toss your clothes. It keeps circulating in the environment for decades. Textile dyeing and finishing is another major problem. Fast fashion is now the second largest industrial water polluter in the world. Factories often dump untreated wastewater straight into rivers, turning them unnatural shades depending on the color of the season's trends. In places like China's Pearl River, the water changes color almost daily, and local communities are left with contaminated water and dead fish. This pollution isn't just visible, it's toxic, affecting people and wildlife for miles downstream. The water used by the industry is staggering. Textile production alone consumes about 93 billion cubic meters of water every year, enough to meet the needs of 5 million people annually. Many of the world's textile factories are located in drought-prone countries, draining local water supplies to create clothing that's worn only a handful of times before being discarded. Waste is another hidden side of fast fashion. Globally, 92 million tons of textiles end up in landfills each year. That's like dumping a garbage truck full of clothes every single second. Synthetic fabrics, like polyester, can take hundreds of years to break down, all the while releasing more microplastics and chemicals into the soil and water. Even donated clothes often end up in landfills when sorting centers can't handle the volume. The carbon footprint of fast fashion stretches far beyond the store. Clothes are shipped from factories in Asia to warehouses around the world, then trucked to stores or shipped again for online orders and returns. Each step adds more emissions, multiplying the environmental cost of that cheap shirt. Chemical use in textile production is another problem. Over 8,000 synthetic substances are used in clothing manufacturing, and many remain in the finished clothes, coming into contact with your skin. Hazardous chemicals like PFAS, so-called forever chemicals, have been found in 65% of tested fast fashion items. They don't wash out and can build up in your body and the environment. Recycling doesn't offer much hope. Less than 1% of clothes are recycled into new garments. Most recycled polyester comes from plastic bottles, not from old clothes. Blended fabrics are nearly impossible to recycle with current technology, so most discarded clothing ends up as waste. Brands know exactly how much they can pollute before facing consequences, and many sustainability claims are misleading at best. Studies show that around 60% of eco-friendly claims by fashion brands are false or exaggerated. While a few sustainable options exist, like lyocell or hemp, fast fashion companies rarely use them because they cost a bit more and cut into profits. The environmental damage from fast fashion is built into the business model. Clothes are made to be worn a few times and replaced, generating more waste and more pollution with every new trend. The impact of this cycle will last for generations. But the story doesn't end with carbon emissions, plastic pollution, or landfill waste. There's another resource that fast fashion drains at an alarming rate, one that's essential for life itself: the water footprint. The water footprint of your clothes is massive, and it's easy to overlook. That cotton t-shirt in your drawer required about 700 gallons of water to produce, enough drinking water for one person for nearly 3 years. A single pair of jeans? Around 2,000 gallons. The fashion industry uses about 93 billion cubic meters of water every year, which could meet the needs of 5 million people. These numbers aren't just statistics. They're the result of production choices that prioritize low cost over sustainability. Cotton farming is a major culprit. In the push for cheap cotton, entire rivers have been diverted to irrigate fields. The Aral Sea disaster is one of the most extreme examples. In the 1960s, officials redirected rivers to boost cotton production. 18 years later, the sea had lost half its volume, leaving once thriving towns in a desert wasteland. The exposed seabed, now laced with pesticides, created toxic dust storms that drove up rates of respiratory illness and cancer. All of this happened so that cotton could be grown for the global fashion market. Water use doesn't stop at farming. Textile dyeing and finishing are among the most water-intensive and polluting parts of clothing production. The dyeing process alone is responsible for about 20% of global industrial water pollution. Factories often dump untreated wastewater directly into rivers, coloring the water to match the latest trends. In some regions, rivers run red one day and blue the next, depending on what's being dyed upstream. These chemicals don't just vanish, they contaminate drinking water, harm local agriculture, and poison aquatic life. Making denim is especially water-heavy. Most jeans are made with conventional cotton, which is usually flood irrigated. This method wastes up to 60% of the water before it even reaches the plants. Sustainable methods like drip irrigation can cut water use in half, but most brands stick with the cheapest option. The result: thousands of gallons of water used for a single pair of jeans, while millions of people worldwide still lack access to clean drinking water. The environmental impact continues at home. Washing your clothes releases microfibers and dye residues into local water systems. Synthetic fabrics shed plastic particles, and even cotton can leach pesticide residues. Dyeing and finishing account for about 36% of the total pollution from the fashion industry. Every load of laundry adds to the problem, sending pollutants downstream and into the ocean. Some brands promote water reduction initiatives, but these often amount to reusing the same dirty water several times before dumping it. True water responsibility means cleaning and recycling water throughout the process, not just delaying pollution. There are real solutions out there. Closed-loop dye systems can recycle up to 95% of water and chemicals. Organic cotton uses about 91% less blue water than conventional cotton. Hemp grows with just rainwater in most climates. But most fast fashion companies avoid these changes because they require investment and disrupt the status quo. The fashion industry's thirst for water creates strange and troubling contradictions. Factories in drought-prone countries tap into aquifers to grow cotton for fast fashion, while people in other parts of the world face water restrictions. The industry is now the second largest consumer of water globally, right behind agriculture. Working conditions in dye houses reveal the true cost. Workers stand in toxic sludge without protective gear because safety equipment would cut into profits. Chemicals known to cause birth defects and illness are labeled as trade secrets, so brands don't have to disclose them. Testing of local waterways often reveals concentrations of heavy metals like lead and mercury far above safe limits. There are simple ways to reduce your water footprint. Choosing organic cotton, undyed fabrics, or secondhand clothes can save thousands of gallons per garment. Even small changes, like picking water-conscious brands or buying less, add up. If you switched just half your closet to sustainable options, you could save enough water to fill an Olympic swimming pool over time. But even as people become more aware of sustainability, the pull of fast fashion remains strong. Studies show that while 60% of Gen Z say they care about sustainability, 62% still shop fast fashion every month. The industry's marketing tactics, like only two left, labels and constant new arrivals, create a sense of urgency and scarcity that keeps people buying. And with brands like Shine releasing up to 6,000 new styles per day, it's easy to get caught up in the cycle. All of these pressures set the stage for the next problem: the way fast fashion manipulates trends and consumer behavior, making it harder than ever to break free from the cycle of constant buying. The trend trap. Trend cycles aren't just fast, they're relentless. Fast fashion brands have turned style turnover into a science, releasing new collections at a pace that used to be unthinkable. Companies like Shine add between 2,000 and 10,000 new styles to their app every single day. H&M and other big names pump out as many as 52 microseasons a year. This isn't about responding to what you want. It's about keeping you in a loop where there's always something newer, flashier, and seemingly essential. Brands use psychological tricks to make sure you don't stop to think. Only two left. Banners and countdown timers aren't just marketing. They're calculated moves to make you feel like you'll miss out unless you buy right now. Limited time offers and fake scarcity are designed to push you into impulse purchases. The UK's Competition and Markets Authority has found that these urgency tactics are often misleading, creating a false sense of need that keeps you buying. Social media turns this pressure up even higher. Nearly 70% of fast fashion brands pay influencers to promote their clothes, flooding your feed with curated images and styled videos. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are packed with sponsored hauls, must-have lists, and trend alerts that make it feel like you're always behind. Bright visuals, catchy music, and carefully staged shots keep you focused on the excitement of buying, not on the quality or longevity of what you're actually getting. The targeting is precise. Brands focus their campaigns on people aged 18 to 35, knowing this age group is the most responsive to new trends and constant updates. Women are especially targeted, with marketing designed to turn shopping into a social event. Brands know that group shopping leads to more purchases. One study found women buy significantly more when shopping with friends. Fast fashion companies turn this dynamic into a sales strategy, using peer influence to drive more sales. Microtrends now move at breakneck speed. Styles that go viral one week are out the next, replaced by something completely different. This isn't an organic evolution of taste. It's a deliberate strategy to make last month's look feel outdated. Brands flood social feeds with new aesthetics, making it hard to keep up and tempting you to keep buying just to stay in the loop. The constant churn means your closet can feel out of date almost overnight. Brands make minor tweaks to designs, changing a sleeve here, a neckline there, so you feel like you need the latest version, even if it's nearly identical to what you already own. Subtle differences are presented as major updates, encouraging you to buy again and again. Fear of missing out drives much of this behavior. Limited edition drops and flash sales are rarely as exclusive as they seem, but the sense of urgency is real. Brands have admitted to using fake low-stock notifications to boost sales, and comment sections are often filled with bots hyping up the demand. The illusion of scarcity makes you more likely to buy on impulse, even if you didn't set out to shop. Discounts are another tool. Brands inflate original prices just to mark them down, making you feel like you're getting a deal when you're actually paying what they intended all along. Flashy sale tags and strategic lighting in stores make items look more appealing, but many shoppers find that what they buy looks and feels different once they get it home. Return policies are designed to encourage overordering. Free returns sound convenient, but the reality is that most shoppers end up keeping more than they planned just to avoid the hassle of sending things back. This turns browsing into buying, even when you're not sure you want the items. With trends moving so quickly, quality becomes an afterthought. Fabrics are chosen for how they look in photos, not for how they hold up in real life. Short staple fibers lead to pilling, and single-stitched seams fail after just a few wears. Durability isn't the goal, constant replacement is. All of this takes a toll. The pressure to keep up creates decision fatigue, with shoppers spending hours browsing and feeling anxious about missing the next big thing. It's not just about clothes anymore. It's about staying relevant in a system designed to keep you consuming. And just when you start to question the pace, brands offer reassurance with eco-friendly tags and green labels. But are those claims really as trustworthy as they seem? The greenwashing game. Brands have turned greenwashing into an art form, using eco-friendly buzzwords and clever marketing to make you feel good about your choices, even when the reality is far less sustainable. Greenwashing is when companies use vague or misleading claims to appear environmentally responsible, while their core business practices stay the same. It's everywhere in fast fashion, and it's designed to keep you shopping without questioning what's really behind those green labels. Take H&M's Conscious Collection. On the surface, it sounds like a step in the right direction. At least 50% of the materials are labeled as sustainable, and the brand promises to use only recycled or sustainably sourced materials by 2030. But zoom out, and the numbers tell a different story. This collection makes up a tiny fraction of H&M's total offering, while the company still churns out billions of garments every year. There's little transparency about the rest of their inventory, or about their actual carbon emissions. You'll hear plenty about organic cotton, but not about the vast quantities of petroleum-based polyester that make up the bulk of their clothes. Zara uses similar tactics. Their Join Life collection is promoted as a sustainable choice, and they've pledged to run their internal operations on 100% renewable energy by 2030. But Zara's parent company, Inditex, still produces nearly 1.5 billion pieces of clothing annually. While the brand highlights its use of better materials, it's silent on the supply chain and doesn't release detailed factory lists or audit results. The big picture, the massive scale, and the unchanged business model gets left out. Uniqlo, another major player, sets climate targets and talks about reducing emissions in their supply chain. But when it comes to sharing progress or aligning with international climate standards, the details are missing. Their goals aren't scientifically reviewed, and there's no clear way to see if they're on track. It's all promises with little follow-through. Even athletic brands like Nike have jumped on the green marketing train. Their Move to Zero campaign was rolled out during Climate Week to showcase their commitment to zero carbon and zero waste. But critics point out that the campaign mostly rebrands old goals instead of setting new, measurable targets. Nike's own sustainability officer admitted that some of their goals, like reducing water use, are proving harder to reach than they expected. Allbirds, a company known for its sustainable wool sneakers, has also faced scrutiny. Their marketing focuses on low carbon footprints and happy sheep, but their calculations skip over the full environmental impact of wool production, like water use and land occupation. Groups like PETA have called them out for glossing over these issues and for making claims that are hard for shoppers to verify. The playbook is simple. Highlight a single improvement, like recycled packaging or a limited eco-friendly line, while ignoring the bigger problems. Use broad terms like natural, green, or eco-conscious without clear definitions or third-party verification. Roll out capsule collections that make up a tiny portion of total sales and set ambitious-sounding targets years into the future, with no checkpoints along the way. The result is a feel-good image that doesn't match the reality. Marketing teams know how to use imagery and language to influence your perception. Earth tones, leaf icons, and minimalist packaging make products seem more sustainable, even when the changes are only skin-deep. Brands might switch to recycled mailers, but still ship thousands of polyester garments worldwide, or plant a tree for each order while ignoring the pollution from textile dyeing, which produces 20% of global industrial water pollution. Certifications can be just as misleading. Many are created in-house or lack third-party oversight, and even well-known certifications sometimes hide more than they reveal. For example, organic cotton may use fewer pesticides, but it can require up to 2,700 liters of water for a single t-shirt and 2,000 gallons for a pair of jeans. The industry's total water use is staggering, about 93 billion cubic meters every year. Greenwashing works because it offers an easy answer to a complex problem. It lets you believe you're making a difference without having to change your habits or question the system. But real sustainability demands more than buzzwords in marketing. It requires transparency, accountability, and a willingness to rethink how much and how often we buy. As you start to question the claims on those tags, it's worth looking closer at the clothes themselves. The quality illusion. Let's talk about what's actually happening with the clothes you buy. The quality illusion is one of fast fashion's most effective tricks. Brands make their clothes look fresh and trendy, but underneath, they're designed to fall apart quickly. This isn't just bad luck or a one-off manufacturing mistake. It's a business model built on planned obsolescence. The first place this shows up is in the fabric. Most fast fashion items are made with blends that contain very little natural fiber, sometimes less than 40% cotton, with the rest made up of synthetic materials like polyester, nylon, or acrylic. These synthetic fibers are cheap to produce, but they don't hold up. Polyester, for example, is notorious for pilling after just a few washes. Those little balls of fuzz are a clear sign that the short synthetic fibers are breaking down. The more synthetic the blend, the faster the garment starts to look old and worn, and the sooner it ends up in the trash. Next, look at how these clothes are put together. Fast fashion brands rely on single-thread stitching throughout their garments. This kind of stitching saves time and money during production, but it's far less durable than double or reinforced seams. Single-thread seams are prone to popping and unraveling with even minimal wear. If you've ever had a seam split after just a few wears or washes, that's not an accident. It's the result of cost-cutting construction choices. Better-made clothes use stronger stitching techniques that hold up over time, but those methods take longer and cost more, so they're left out of the fast fashion formula. Dye quality is another area where corners are cut. Fast fashion often uses the cheapest possible dyes, which bleed and fade quickly. After just a few washes, colors lose their vibrancy and clothes start to look tired and dull. This isn't just about aesthetics. Faded dyes signal that the fibers themselves are breaking down. High-quality garments use dyes that bond more permanently to the fabric, so colors stay true for much longer. But in fast fashion, quick fading is just another way to make sure you'll be back for something new sooner rather than later. The result of all these shortcuts is clear. Fast fashion clothes are made to be disposable. Research from the United Nations Environment Program shows that the average fast fashion item is worn only 7 to 10 times before it's thrown away. The short lifespan isn't just a coincidence. It's a direct outcome of using cheap materials, flimsy construction, and low-quality dyes. This cycle of quick failure keeps you coming back to replace what didn't last, fueling a never-ending demand for new clothes. But it doesn't have to be this way. Simply reinforcing weak seams and choosing garments with a higher percentage of natural fibers can double the lifespan of your clothes. Even small improvements in how clothes are made would mean fewer replacements and less waste. Yet, fast fashion brands stick to the bare minimum because their profits depend on you buying more, not buying better. Behind the scenes, this planned obsolescence has bigger consequences. The environmental impact is massive. Most of these synthetic-rich garments end up in landfills, where they can take hundreds of years to break down. The constant churn also means more energy, water, and resources are used to make clothes that won't last a season. Meanwhile, consumers are left disappointed, spending more over time on items that never live up to the promise of lasting quality. All these hidden flaws and shortcuts add up to one thing: a cycle where you're always reaching for your wallet to replace what's already falling apart. And that's exactly how the system is designed to work. The replacement cycle. With every new season, the cycle of replacing clothes speeds up. Fast fashion isn't just about buying a $15 dress. It's about setting you up for a pattern of constant turnover. Today, the average person wears an item only 7 to 10 times before discarding it, a steep decline of more than 35% in the last 15 years. This rapid churn is no accident. Brands have built a system where clothes are made to be replaced quickly, and consumers have adapted to expect that nothing in their closet will last. The pressure to keep up with trends is everywhere. Social media, influencer hauls, and targeted ads make it feel normal to shop weekly or monthly for new outfits. Gen Z, for example, is especially caught in this loop. While 62% say they care about sustainability, 17% still shop fast fashion every week, and nearly 2/3 do so every month. The constant influx of microtrends makes it easy to justify another $8 top or $12 tee. But over time, those small purchases add up to a steady flow of money out of your pocket and a growing pile of barely worn clothes. Women experience this cycle most intensely. Shopping is often a social activity, and there's a real sense of pressure to avoid repeating outfits, especially in photos or at events. That nothing-to-wear feeling is reinforced by stores that refresh their women's sections more often than men's, and by marketing that suggests every occasion deserves a new look. The result: frequent purchases, quick discards, and closets that never feel quite full enough. Higher income only accelerates the pattern. People with more disposable income generate 76% more clothing waste than those with lower incomes. With the ability to buy more comes a faster pace of wardrobe updates, and more money spent on replacements that don't last. For many, the impact isn't immediately obvious, but over time, the cost of constantly updating a closet with low-quality items far outweighs the savings from bargain prices. The numbers behind the replacement cycle are staggering. Over 11.3 million tons of textile waste end up in U.S. landfills every year, a direct result of this rapid turnover. Most of these clothes are made from materials that don't break down, so they linger for decades. The cycle is fueled by falling clothing prices, thanks to outsourced production and cheaper materials, but lower prices don't mean lower spending. In fact, people now buy about 60% more clothing per year than they did at the start of the century, keeping total spending high even as individual items cost less. Brands cut corners to keep costs down, using thin fabrics and simple construction that guarantee short lifespans. When a seam pops or a zipper fails after just a few wears, it's often cheaper to throw the item away and buy a replacement than to repair it. This planned obsolescence makes replacements a regular part of life, not an exception. The media and retail environment reinforce the habit. Outfit photos, influencer culture, and celebrity wardrobes make it seem normal to wear something once and move on. Yet most people aren't being sent free clothes. They're paying for every new piece themselves. The expectation to always have something new drives more shopping, more waste, and more frustration. Time is another hidden casualty. PwC research found that fast fashion shoppers spend up to 17 hours every month browsing for new items, time that could be spent on anything else. The cycle demands attention, decision-making, and constant shopping trips, turning wardrobe management into a part-time job. Breaking out of the replacement cycle takes effort, but it's possible. Simple strategies like the hanger test, where you turn all your hangers one way and flip them after wearing an item, help you see what you actually use. Building a capsule wardrobe focused on versatile, quality pieces can reduce the urge to buy new things just for the sake of novelty. Over time, these habits reveal how much money, time, and space you can save by stepping away from the endless loop of buying and discarding. The environmental and psychological consequences of the replacement cycle are significant, but the financial toll is often overlooked. The real cost of cheap clothes isn't just what you pay at checkout. It's the ongoing drain of replacing items that never last. To understand what you're truly spending, you have to look beyond the price tag and consider how long each piece actually serves you. The true cost of cheap. When you see a $10 shirt or a $15 dress, it looks like a win for your wallet. But the real story is what happens after you bring it home. The true cost of cheap isn't just about a low price tag. It's about what you pay, over and over, for clothes that don't last and the impacts that come with them. Let's break down the numbers. Picture a $100 coat you wear 50 times. It costs you $2 per wear. Now take a $10 shirt that lasts just 7 wears before it stretches, pills, or fades. That's about $1.50 per wear, and you'll need to buy another one within weeks. Multiply that cycle across your whole closet, and the savings disappear fast. Brands know you focus on the price up front, so they keep prices low and quality lower. According to Deloitte, 61% of shoppers say price is their main concern. So companies race to cut costs, often at the expense of durability, labor rights, and the environment. Over the last decade, the average price per clothing item dropped by 16%. But instead of spending less, people just buy more, filling their closets with disposable pieces. That's how fast fashion keeps you spending. Frequent small purchases that add up to more than you'd pay for quality that lasts. The industry depends on this cycle, encouraging you to see clothes as throwaway, not investments. It's not just your wallet that takes the hit. Making clothes this cheaply comes at a steep cost for workers and the planet. Fast fashion relies on low wages, often below a living standard, to keep prices down. The true cost is pushed onto people in factory towns, where long hours and unsafe conditions are the norm. Meanwhile, the environment pays too. Fast fashion is responsible for about 10% of global carbon emissions, more than all international flights and shipping. Combined, the industry uses 141 billion cubic meters of water every year, and textile dyeing is the second largest polluter of water worldwide. A single cotton shirt takes about 700 gallons of water to produce, and a pair of jeans needs roughly 2,000 gallons. Most of this pollution and resource use happens far from where you shop, but you pay for it in other ways, like higher taxes for water treatment or increased insurance rates as climate risks rise. Synthetic fibers, like polyester and nylon, are another hidden cost. They're cheap to make but come from fossil fuels and break down slowly, shedding microplastics every time you wash them. In fact, 35% of the microplastics in our oceans come from synthetic textiles. The production of polyester also emits nearly 3 times more carbon dioxide than cotton. And while brands claim to recycle, less than 1% of old clothes are actually turned into new garments. Most end up in landfills or shipped overseas, where they become someone else's problem. Even time has a price. Shoppers spend an average of 17 hours a month browsing fast fashion sites. Time that could go toward anything else. Add in the hassle of constant replacements, impulse buys that don't get worn, and the frustration of poor quality, and those deals don't feel so smart anymore. Brands count on your focus staying on the price tag, not the pattern. They design clothes to fall apart, knowing you'll be back for more. Each $10 or $15 spent on a quick fix is money that could have gone toward something better. Something that saves you money, time, and stress in the long run. The fast fashion business model works because it hides these real costs behind cheap prices and constant newness. But when you add up the expenses, replacements, wasted time, environmental damage, and hidden social costs, the bargain fades. The real price isn't just what you pay at checkout. It's what you keep paying, month after month, for clothes that don't last. If you want to see where your money is really going, look no further than your own closet. The next step is to take a closer look at what's already in your wardrobe. and uncover just how much value is hiding in plain sight. The closet audit. A closet audit is one of the simplest ways to get real about what you own and how much it's actually costing you. Most people have a wardrobe packed with clothes, but only wear a fraction of them on a regular basis. All those unworn pieces represent money spent on impulse buys, trend chasing, or just forgetting what you already have. Doing a closet audit means you get a clear picture of where your money is tied up and how you can start making smarter choices with what you already own. Start by pulling out everything you haven't worn in the past year. Add up what you paid for each item. Those numbers can be eye-opening. If you've got a $50 dress you wore once, that's $50 per wear. 10 $15 shirts you forgot about? That's $150 sitting idle. Many people discover they have hundreds, sometimes even thousands, of dollars locked up in clothes they rarely or never use. That's not just clutter. It's a hidden cost that could have gone towards something you'd actually enjoy or need. Sorting your wardrobe into categories helps you see the bigger picture. Separate your regular go-to pieces, special occasion outfits, and the items you never reach for. The unworn pile is often a surprise, sometimes making up 30 to 60% of your closet. This isn't just about wasted money. It's also about wasted opportunity. Those forgotten clothes could have been quality staples or investments, but instead, they're just taking up space. One practical method is the hanger test. Turn all your hangers backward, and as you wear something, return the hanger the right way. After a few months, any clothes still on backward hangers are likely not earning their keep. This gives you a visual reminder of what's actually serving you and what's just taking up space. Taking photos of your favorite outfits can also help. When you shop, compare new items to the styles you actually wear. If the new piece doesn't fit with what you already love, chances are it'll end up unworn too. This approach helps cut down on impulse purchases and keeps your closet filled with things you'll actually use. Accessories are another area where a closet audit can pay off. Most people own far more scarves, belts, and jewelry than they use. By pairing forgotten accessories with core pieces, you can create new outfits without spending a dime. Mixing and matching what you already have extends the life of your wardrobe and keeps things feeling fresh. Color-coding your closet can reveal combinations you might have missed. Grouping clothes by color makes it easier to spot potential outfits and encourages you to try new pairings with what's already there. This small organizational step can help you get more use out of what you own. Tailoring is worth considering for anything you love but don't wear because of the fit. A simple alteration can make an old favorite feel new again, often for a fraction of the cost of buying something new. Clothes that fit well get worn more, so investing in a little tailoring can stretch your wardrobe even further. Rotating your closet seasonally helps you rediscover items you'd forgotten. When you swap out summer for winter clothes, you'll likely find pieces that feel new just because you haven't seen them in a while. This satisfies the urge for something different without any extra spending. If you want to let go of items, selling or donating unworn clothes is a smart move. Platforms and local consignment shops make it easy to recoup some value while keeping clothes out of landfills. Resale not only saves you money, but also helps reduce waste. Especially important given that richer countries produce 76% more clothing waste per person than lower-income ones. Every item you keep in use longer or pass along to someone else helps break the cycle of overconsumption. The point of a closet audit isn't just to clear space. It's to change how you think about shopping and using what you already have. By focusing on what you wear most, letting go of what you don't, and finding new ways to use what's left, you start to see your wardrobe as a resource, not a revolving door. This approach can lead to real savings, less waste, and a more sustainable relationship with fashion. Once you see the value in what's already in your closet, it opens the door to smarter, more affordable ways to refresh your style. There are options out there that offer quality, variety, and savings, without falling back into the fast fashion cycle. The secondhand solution. Thrift stores and resale apps are changing the way people shop for clothes. The secondhand solution offers a practical way to find quality, save money, and cut down on waste, without sacrificing style or convenience. The global secondhand apparel market is booming, now valued at over $1.5 billion, and experts expect it to keep growing rapidly. This shift isn't just about saving a few bucks. It's about making smarter choices for your wallet and the environment. There's no need to worry about stigma. Secondhand doesn't mean out of date or low quality anymore. In fact, 124 major retailers now run branded resale programs, up from just 5 a few years ago. Even luxury brands have jumped in, seeing the value in keeping clothes in circulation. The market is growing at 22% each year as more shoppers realize they can get better materials, classic styles, and even designer labels for a fraction of the original price. What's waiting on those thrift racks? You'll find real wool sweaters at fast fashion prices, denim that lasts, and leather jackets already broken in. It's not uncommon to spot pieces with original tags still attached, marked down by 80% or more. Instead of paying $50 for a polyester shirt, you might score a cashmere sweater for $15 or a $200 pair of jeans for $25. The quality often outshines anything you'll find in a typical mall store today. The environmental benefit is clear. Buying secondhand extends the life of clothing, reducing demand for new production and cutting down on pollution. Research shows that shopping resale can lower emissions by 25% and water use by 30% compared to buying new. Each pre-loved item means less textile waste and fewer resources wasted on making something from scratch. Online resale platforms have made secondhand shopping more accessible than ever. Apps like Depop, Poshmark, and ThredUp let you browse thousands of listings, filter by size or brand, and even negotiate prices, all from your phone. This convenience means you don't have to dig through racks in person if that's not your thing. The growth of these platforms has outpaced traditional retail, making it easy for anyone to try secondhand. Social media helps drive the trend. Influencers and younger shoppers share their finds and styling tips, making secondhand shopping feel fresh and aspirational. There's been a 70% increase in social media posts about pre-loved fashion, and half of Gen Z say they see vintage as a way to get better quality or stand out from the crowd. Nostalgia plays a role too, with older brands and classic styles coming back into the spotlight. The secondhand market isn't just for treasure hunters. Kids' clothes, workwear, and even luxury items are easy to find at a discount. Children outgrow clothes quickly, so resale offers like new options for a fraction of the cost. Professional wardrobes can be built for less, and luxury resale sites authenticate designer goods so you can buy with confidence. Quality holds up. Vintage denim, wool, and leather were often made to last, and you can feel the difference. Selling your own clothes is part of the solution. When you clear out what you don't wear and list it online or take it to a consignment shop, you get some money back and help someone else avoid a fast fashion purchase. This cycle keeps clothes in use longer and reduces overall waste. Since richer countries generate 76% more clothing waste per person, every item that's reused makes a difference. Learning what quality looks and feels like is another benefit. Handling vintage and well-made secondhand pieces helps you spot lasting fabrics and construction. Over time, you become a smarter shopper, able to recognize real value and avoid low-quality new items. Basic sewing skills also go a long way. Fixing a loose button or mending a seam can keep a great find in rotation for years. According to the UN Alliance, mending is a key sustainable practice, and studies suggest that knowing how to do simple repairs can save you $200 or more each year in avoided replacements. Secondhand shopping isn't just about getting a deal. It's about changing the way you think about fashion. By making the most of what's already out there, you reduce demand for new production, save money, and keep your wardrobe unique. And when you know how to keep your favorite finds in good shape, you're ready to take the next step toward a more sustainable closet. The repair revolution. Repairing your clothes isn't about perfection. It's about making what you have last longer and saving real money in the process. The repair revolution is gaining steam for a reason. It's a direct answer to the waste and constant spending that fast fashion demands. With a few basic skills and tools, you can sidestep the endless replacement cycle and keep your favorite pieces in rotation for years, not just months. Start with the numbers. When you fix a $50 dress with a $5 seam repair, you're spending $55 total and getting another season out of it. Compare that to dropping $150 a year on new fast fashion replacements for similar items. The savings add up quickly. Every year, over 11.3 million tons of textiles end up in landfills, an 80% increase since 2000. Most of this waste comes from clothes tossed for small, fixable issues like popped buttons or minor tears. Repairing instead of replacing directly cuts down on that mountain of waste. You don't need a fashion degree to get started. 5 basic repairs: sewing on a button, fixing a torn seam, hemming pants, patching holes, and replacing elastic cover most common clothing problems. Each fix usually takes a few minutes and can save you from buying a replacement. A basic sewing kit costs about $25 and pays for itself after just a couple of repairs. Even if you pay a tailor for help, the price is almost always less than buying new. The environmental benefits are just as real as the financial ones. Extending a garment's life by only 9 months can shrink its carbon footprint by 30%. That's because keeping clothes in use means you're not driving demand for new materials, water, and energy, resources that the fashion industry consumes in massive amounts. Repairing fits right into the circular economy, where the goal is to keep products in use as long as possible and reduce waste at every step. Kids' clothes are a perfect example. A quick 5-minute stitch on a ripped $8 shirt can give it another 3 months of life. Parents who mend instead of rebuying report saving hundreds each year. The same goes for jeans, jackets, and even shoes. A $25 heel repair beats spending $80 on new boots, and simple patches can give your favorite jeans years of extra wear. Repairing also helps you spot how clothes are built and where brands cut corners. Fast fashion often uses single-stitched seams, thin fabric, and weak buttons that are designed to fail quickly. Once you recognize these weak points, you can reinforce them before problems start, or choose better-made pieces next time you shop. Learning repair skills isn't just practical. It can change how you feel about your clothes. Studies show that people keep mended garments much longer because they're invested in their survival. Visible repairs, like a patched knee or reinforced seam, become a mark of resourcefulness, not something to hide. This stronger connection to your clothes encourages you to care for them better, wash them gently, and store them properly, further extending their life. You don't have to do it alone. Community repair workshops and online tutorials make learning easy, and many local tailors are happy to show you simple techniques. The UN Alliance recommends mending as a key sustainable practice, and more cities are offering free or low-cost repair events to help people build these skills. Repairing your clothes is a small act with a big impact. It saves money, reduces waste, and helps shift your mindset from disposable to durable. Every stitch keeps garments out of landfills and out of the fast fashion replacement cycle. When you take the time to fix what you own, you start expecting more from your clothes and from the brands that make them. But not every brand is upfront about how their clothes are made or how sustainable their practices really are. The next challenge is figuring out the transparency test. To separate genuine sustainability from marketing spin, you need a clear approach, the transparency test. This means looking past eco-friendly labels and bold claims to see what brands actually reveal about their practices. Start by checking if brands publish detailed supplier and factory lists. If a company won't share where its clothes are made, that's a major red flag. Transparent brands like Patagonia make their entire supply chain public. On the other hand, companies like Zara and Uniqlo have been criticized for withholding factory lists and audit results, making it difficult to evaluate their true impact. Transparency means daylight. If you can't see it, question it. Certifications are another way to gauge authenticity, but not all labels are created equal. Look for recognized standards like GOTS, Global Organic Textile Standard, and Blue Sign. These show a product meets strict environmental and ethical guidelines. Be wary of vague or self-created green logos that don't link to independent verification. The David Suzuki Foundation recommends investigating a brand's claims and reputation, not just trusting what's on the tag. Greenwashing often relies on 3 main tactics: using vague language like eco-friendly without proof, highlighting a small sustainable initiative while ignoring the bigger picture, and making claims that are impossible to verify. For example, a brand might launch a limited conscious collection while the majority of its inventory remains unsustainable. H&M, for instance, promotes its conscious collection, yet it represents less than 1% of their total output. Real change affects the whole business, not just a token line. When evaluating a brand's sustainability, check what percentage of their products actually meet those claims. If only a tiny fraction is labeled as eco, it's likely marketing rather than a shift in business practices. Brands like Eileen Fisher stand out by applying strict environmental standards across all their materials, not just a small subset. Worker welfare is a crucial indicator of true sustainability. Brands that pay living wages and share wage data show a real commitment to ethical practices. Cotton, for example, goes beyond fair trade standards and discloses wage information. In contrast, Uniqlo sets climate targets but doesn't publish wage data for its supply chain. If a company is serious about sustainability, it should be open about how its workers are treated. It's also important to look at supply chain transparency. Companies like Everlane break down costs and show exactly what goes into making each item, including how much workers are paid. This level of openness is rare, but sets a clear standard for what real transparency looks like. Sustainability claims should be backed by measurable progress, not just future promises. Annual reports should include specific data, like reductions in water use, carbon emissions, or hazardous chemicals, not just goals. Patagonia, for example, admits when it falls short, building trust through honesty. In contrast, many brands highlight their intentions, but provide little evidence of actual change. Material choices matter, but so does the entire product life cycle. Bamboo may sound sustainable, but if it's processed with toxic chemicals or shipped halfway around the world, the benefits are lost. True sustainability considers sourcing, production, transportation, and end-of-life disposal. Resale and repair programs are strong signals of a brand's commitment to longevity. Brands that buy back-used items or offer repair services, like Patagonia and Eileen Fisher, show they value durability over disposability. In contrast, brands that flood the market with thousands of new styles daily, like Shine, documented at 6,000 new styles per day, prioritize volume over sustainability. Packaging and chemical policies also reveal priorities. Brands that use compostable packaging and ban hazardous chemicals are taking concrete steps, while those that meet only the minimum legal standards are doing the bare minimum. Consumer pressure is a powerful force for change. When shoppers ask for factory lists, wage data, and third-party audits, as recommended by the Fashion Transparency Index, brands take notice. Public questions and visible demand for proof move companies toward greater accountability. The simplest way to spot real sustainability is to ask, would this brand's practices still be responsible if they grew 10 times bigger? If the answer is yes, it's likely they're building a business model that can scale without increasing harm. Understanding which brands are truly transparent helps you make choices that align with your values. This approach not only reduces your environmental footprint, but also sets you up for a smarter, more intentional way to approach fashion. There's a practical benefit, too. Focusing on transparency can shift your mindset from chasing deals to investing in quality, an approach that pays off in the long run. The investment mindset. Shifting to an investment mindset means looking at your wardrobe as a long-term strategy, not just a series of quick fixes. Instead of filling your closet with disposable items that wear out after a handful of uses, focus on building a collection of versatile, high-quality pieces that last. This approach isn't about buying less just for the sake of it. It's about making every purchase count, both for your wallet and your everyday life. Start with the basics of a capsule wardrobe. By curating a set of well-made, mix-and-match essentials, you'll find you can create more outfits with fewer pieces. Research shows that people who adopt this approach wear a higher percentage of their clothes regularly and report greater satisfaction with their choices. Instead of 30 fast fashion shirts that don't go together, 10 quality items can cover your needs for work, weekends, and special occasions. The result is less clutter, fewer unworn pieces, and more value from what you own. Cost per wear is the key metric here. For example, a $200 wool coat worn 100 times over several years costs you $2 per wear. Compare that to a $10 fast fashion shirt that lasts just 7 to 10 wears. Suddenly, you're paying $1 or more every time you put it on, and then it's done. That's not a deal. Over time, investing in durable, timeless pieces actually saves you money. The same logic applies to workwear, shoes, and accessories. Instead of cycling through cheap replacements, you get more life out of every purchase. Minimalism in fashion also cuts down on decision fatigue. With a smaller, more intentional wardrobe, you spend less time choosing what to wear each day. This frees up mental energy for more important things and can even reduce stress. A streamlined closet means you're not overwhelmed by choices, and you're less likely to make impulse buys that just add to the pile. There's also a strong resale advantage. Higher quality items hold their value, so if your style changes or you no longer need something, you can sell it and recoup some of your original investment. Fast fashion, on the other hand, loses value almost instantly and often ends up as waste. The global secondhand market is growing rapidly, making it easier than ever to buy and sell quality pieces and keep clothes in circulation longer. Psychologically, the investment mindset changes your relationship with shopping. Instead of chasing the next trend or dopamine hit from a new purchase, you learn to appreciate the craftsmanship and longevity of what you own. Studies suggest that people who focus on quality over quantity feel more content with their wardrobes and experience less pressure to keep up with changing styles. For Gen Z, this is especially important. While many say they care about sustainability, data shows a large portion still shop fast fashion weekly. Shifting to an investment mindset can help break that cycle. This approach pays off for families, too. Parents who buy sturdy boots or jackets that last through multiple kids save money and reduce waste. The same principle works for adult wardrobes. Choosing durable pieces means fewer replacements and less money spent over time. The environmental impact is significant. Every time you keep a quality garment in use longer, you avoid contributing to the 92 million tons of textile waste generated each year. Fewer replacements mean less demand for new production, which helps lower your carbon footprint and conserve resources. Tailoring and proper care extend these benefits. Investing a little in alterations or learning basic maintenance, like using a fabric shaver or storing pieces properly, can double the lifespan of your clothes. Fast fashion rarely responds to care, but quality items get better with time and attention. The real challenge is ignoring the constant push to buy more. Fast fashion brands rely on trend manipulation, like scarcity labels and flash sales, to keep you shopping. But if you focus on what you truly need and what lasts, you'll spend less, waste less, and feel more confident in your choices. When you start thinking about clothing as an investment, you're not just saving money, you're building a wardrobe that works for you year after year. The benefits add up, and the savings are real. But how much of a difference does it actually make? To find out, let's break down the real financial impact of fast fashion compared to sustainable choices. The financial breakdown. Let's get into the numbers that shape your closet and your bank account. The fast fashion model is built on the idea that you'll buy more, pay less per item, and replace clothes often. But when you look at how long these garments actually last, the math tells a different story. Most fast fashion pieces are worn just 10 to 12 times before they're tossed or forgotten. That $10 shirt? It might seem like a deal, but if you only wear it 10 times, you're paying $1 per wear, and then you're back in the store for another. Now compare that with a quality item. A $100 sweater that lasts for 100 wears costs you the same $1 per wear, but it looks better, feels better, and doesn't need constant replacing. Over time, investing in well-made clothes means fewer purchases, less waste, and more value for your money. The industry's push for overproduction means millions of garments end up in landfills every year, with 92 million tons of textile waste piling up annually. That's money spent on clothes that don't last, and resources wasted on items that never get their full use. The environmental costs are woven into every purchase. Fast fashion is responsible for about 10% of global carbon emissions, more than all international flights and shipping combined. It uses 141 billion cubic meters of water every year, and 35% of the microplastics polluting our oceans come from synthetic textiles. Polyester, a favorite for cheap clothing, is made from fossil fuels and emits nearly 3 times more carbon dioxide than cotton during production. These costs don't show up on your receipt, but they come back to you through rising living expenses, health impacts, and environmental cleanup. Let's talk about your yearly budget. The average person now spends around $1,800 a year on clothes, much of it on items that quickly wear out or go out of style. That's $18,000 in a decade, often for a wardrobe that never feels quite right. If you shift to buying fewer, higher quality pieces and prioritize sustainable brands, you might spend $1,000 a year instead. Over 10 years, that's $10,000 for a wardrobe that lasts and holds its value. Consumers are starting to notice. Surveys show people are willing to pay about 10% more for sustainable options, knowing they'll save in the long run. The cost per wear calculation is especially clear with kids' clothes. Fast fashion makes it easy to buy cheap t-shirts and jeans, but they're quickly outgrown or worn out. Parents who buy secondhand or invest in sturdy basics save hundreds each year, as well-made clothes can be handed down or resold. The resale market is growing fast, and quality items actually retain some value, unlike fast fashion, which often becomes worthless after a few wears. Hidden costs add up too. More clothes mean more laundry, more time spent shopping, and more clutter at home. The average fast fashion shopper spends 17 hours a month browsing for new items. That's time you could use for work, family, or anything else. Every hour spent searching for replacements is another reminder of how disposable these purchases really are. Labor costs are another piece of the puzzle. Fast fashion keeps prices low by relying on workers in countries where wages can be as little as $1.58 per hour. These savings for the consumer come at a high human cost, and the bill gets paid through social programs, taxes, and the hidden impact of underpaid labor. Water use and pollution also factor into the total price. Cotton farming and textile production drain resources and pollute waterways, leading to higher utility costs and environmental damage that communities have to address. The industry's use of 1.35% of the world's oil supply for synthetic fiber production is another hidden drain on resources. When you add it all up, cost per wear, environmental impact, labor, and time, the numbers make a strong case for investing in quality over quantity. The fast fashion model thrives on keeping you in a cycle of constant replacement, but the real value comes from buying less and choosing better. Every decision you make at the register shapes what the industry produces next. Your spending isn't just a personal choice. It's a signal that tells brands what matters. The next step is understanding how this influence works and how your choices can drive change. The consumer power. Consumer power is real, and it's reshaping the fashion industry from the ground up. When you make a purchase, you're not just picking a shirt or a pair of jeans. You're sending a clear signal about the kind of world you want to live in. Every choice you make, from the brands you support to the questions you ask, has a ripple effect. The industry watches what you buy, what you skip, and what you demand. That's why ethical consumerism is gaining momentum. People are using their wallets to push for better labor practices, cleaner production, and real transparency. Transparency in fashion didn't happen by accident. It's the result of thousands of shoppers insisting on knowing who made their clothes and how they were treated. The fashion revolution's #WhoMadeMyClothes campaign is a perfect example. When enough people started tagging brands and asking about working conditions, companies were forced to respond. The Fashion Transparency Index now ranks over 250 major brands based on how openly they share supply chain details. This shift didn't come from boardroom decisions. It came from everyday people demanding answers. Brands that once hid their factory lists now publish them because customers expect it. Everlane, for instance, built its reputation around radical transparency, breaking down costs and showing factory conditions. That approach paid off, with other brands scrambling to follow when they saw shoppers rewarding honesty. Loud Spring, a company focused on sustainability, implemented supply chain visibility after consumer demand for responsible sourcing became impossible to ignore. The message is simple. When enough people ask, companies change. Materials and production methods have changed because consumers pushed for them. 5 years ago, recycled polyester was rare. Now it's everywhere, and brands compete to offer organic cotton, recycled fibers, and eco-friendly dyes. This isn't because companies suddenly cared more. It's because Patagonia and other leaders proved that shoppers would choose sustainability if given the option. When you pick organic over conventional, you're part of that shift. The secondhand market is another direct result of consumer priorities. ThredUp's recent report shows secondhand fashion is growing 22 times faster than traditional retail. People want affordable, quality clothes without the environmental baggage of new production. As more shoppers choose resale, even luxury brands like Gucci and big retailers like Nordstrom have launched their own pre-owned programs. This move isn't just about style. It's about responding to the clear demand for sustainable choices. Worker safety and fair wages have also improved because of consumer action. After the Rana Plaza tragedy, public outrage led to the Bangladesh Accord, which forced brands to take responsibility for factory conditions. When shoppers ask, "Who made my clothes?" and choose to support brands that pay living wages, companies notice. Some, like Outland Denim, have centered their entire business on ethical production and others have followed as customers show they'll pay more for fair treatment. Greenwashing doesn't go unchecked anymore. Shoppers are more skeptical and quick to call out misleading claims. The Advertising Standards Authority has banned ads from major brands like H&M when their sustainability messaging didn't match reality. Your willingness to research, share, and question keeps brands honest and pushes them to back up their claims with real data. Social media is a powerful tool for amplifying your voice. Today, 46% of consumers have made purchases through social platforms, more than double the rate from just a few years ago. When you post reviews, share information, or tag brands with tough questions, companies pay attention. These online conversations shape reputations and influence what brands prioritize next. Circular business models are growing because consumers want more than just new stuff. Brands now offer repair services, rental options, and take-back programs to keep clothes in use longer. Uniqlo's in-store repairs and other retailer initiatives are responses to shoppers asking, "Can this be fixed?" instead of "What's new?" This shift is building a more sustainable industry, one practical step at a time. Packaging and even payment models have changed too. When surveys showed that most shoppers care about sustainable packaging, brands started switching to compostable mailers and reducing plastic. Installment payment options for sustainable brands, like those at Reformation, exist because consumers said they'd invest in quality if it was more accessible. The bottom line, the industry responds to what you want. When you demand transparency, ethical labor, sustainable materials, and longer-lasting products, brands adapt. The more people who make these choices, the faster the industry shifts away from fast fashion's wasteful cycle. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight to make a difference. Even small changes like asking questions, choosing secondhand, or supporting brands with real transparency add up. Each decision strengthens the movement toward a fashion industry that values people and the planet. If you're wondering how to put this power to use in your daily life, there are practical steps you can start taking right now. Simple actions can break the fast fashion cycle and help you save money while making a real impact. The action plan. Let's get practical about changing your shopping habits and building a wardrobe that works for you and the planet. The action plan isn't about overhauling your entire life overnight. It's about making small, realistic changes that add up. Start with a closet audit. Studies show that the average person finds $500 to $2,000 worth of unworn clothes during their first real audit. Go through your wardrobe and pull out everything you haven't worn in the last 6 months. Sell the good pieces on apps like Depop or Vint. Turn those unused items into cash you can put toward higher quality staples. Donate the rest to local shelters or clothing drives. Not only does this clear space, but it also puts your clothes back into circulation where they're needed. Use the hanger trick. Turn all your hangers backward and flip them forward only after you wear something. After a few months, you'll see what you actually use and what's just taking up space. Take what's left and curate a capsule wardrobe. Pick versatile, high-quality basics that mix and match easily. This method alone can help you cut replacement spending by 30 to 50% over time. Secondhand shopping is a powerful tool. Platforms like ThredUp, Vint, and local thrift stores make it easy to find quality pieces at a fraction of the original price. Filter by brand, size, or even new with tags to score unworn items. Shopping secondhand extends the life of garments, reduces demand for new production, and supports a circular economy. Charity shops and online resale markets are full of hidden gems. Sometimes you'll find high-end items for a few dollars. This isn't just about saving money. It's about reducing waste and making the most of resources already in circulation. Repair and upcycling are practical skills anyone can learn. Mastering a few basic fixes, like sewing on a button, patching a hole, or hemming pants, can save you hundreds each year in avoided replacements. The UN Alliance recommends mending as a key sustainable practice, and local workshops or online tutorials can help you get started. Upcycling old clothes into new items or repurposing them for household use keeps textiles out of landfills and fosters creativity. Support ethical brands that prioritize sustainability and fair labor. Look for companies that are transparent about their supply chain, use organic or recycled materials, and offer fair wages. The Fashion Transparency Index is a good place to start your research. When you need something new, apply the 30-wear test. If you can see yourself wearing it at least 30 times, it's worth investing in. Prioritize quality over quantity and choose timeless, durable pieces that outlast trends. Laundry habits matter more than you think. Wash clothes in cold water and hang dry when possible to extend their lifespan. These simple adjustments can double the life of your garments and save you money on replacements. For every new item you bring in, try the one-in, one-out rule. Remove something old to keep your wardrobe manageable and intentional. Organize clothing swaps with friends or coworkers. Swapping lets you refresh your wardrobe without spending money or contributing to new production. Anything left over can be donated together, multiplying the benefit. Donating clothes you no longer wear isn't just about decluttering. Giving to shelters or clothing drives helps people in need and keeps usable textiles out of landfills. Every item you donate or sell is one less garment contributing to the 92 million tons of textile waste produced each year. Keep track of your cost per wear. Write the purchase price on the tag and tally each time you wear it. Watching the cost drop with each use makes you more mindful about future buys and helps you resist impulse purchases. Finally, focus on developing your own style instead of chasing every trend. When you know what works for you, it's easier to ignore micro-trends and stick to what you love. This shift not only saves money, but also keeps your closet clutter-free. Every step you take, whether it's shopping secondhand, repairing what you own, or supporting ethical brands, moves you closer to a wardrobe that reflects your values and your budget. And as you make these choices, remember, what seems like a bargain at the register can have hidden costs that go far beyond the price tag. When you look at your clothing choices, remember the facts. Fast fashion now emits more carbon dioxide than all international flights and maritime shipping combined, and its impact is projected to rise by 50% by 2030. This isn't just a distant problem. It affects water, air, and the lives of garment workers paid less than a living wage. You can help shift the industry. Prioritize secondhand or quality pieces instead of defaulting to the cheapest option. Donate your unused clothes to shelters or local drives. Learn to repair what you own. Each conscious decision reduces waste, supports fair labor, and slows the cycle of disposable fashion. Your choices matter. By shopping with intention,